can I persuade thee? It's a here.
Georgia man, quick, get into the escape pod.
Axis escape, then
Welcome back to Star Wars, and a very special as the teaser trailer, its appearance for the show out on Disney Plus, and in the escape pod to break it down with us, chat some Obi-Wan, get into, take a look at some of their. Let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
The fight is done. Lost. Stay hidden.
Key. Hunting Jedi. Is patient. What they are, their compassion leaves a trail. The Jedi Code. Help it!
Dude. Guys?
Hey, thanks. What a time to be back. This is very exciting. At long last, we're getting a peek.
It's insane, man. I mean, that teaser trailer was just so perfect, that the music and everything, and I think it's just like exactly what a lot of people have been wanting to see for a long time. But just starting off, we got Reid back with us. It's been a while, man.
Hey.
And
a hot minute.
maybe a little bit, yeah. And I know you've been looking forward to this one for a while. This was kind of a highlight for you last year, or maybe even the year before that. Whenever this thing was announced, like I remember, this is kind of the top subject.
Yeah, because I think we had at some point you and I had talked about, like, because you knew a bunch of the stuff that Disney had planned on releasing, like in the coming year and a half or something like that, and this was one of the things, and I was like, this is absolutely like top of the list for things that I'd be excited to see Disney release in the next year and a half or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and Blake, initial impressions here.
I think it's pretty much what we were expecting. We figured most likely he'd be dealing with Inquisitors, and it'll most likely take place entirely on Tatooine. So, there's nothing to complain about there. Just more or less what we expected. So, check the box unless something weird and crazy they're throwing in for no reason.
Right. And before we start breaking down this teaser, it's worth mentioning this this show will come out on Disney Plus. It'll premiere May 25th, 2022. It'll consist of 6 episodes, which is so far the shortest Disney Plus Star Wars show that we're gonna get, and that's 1 episode shorter than Book of Boba, which was already pretty short, and we talked about it in length on the podcast over the weeks, but and that might have had something to do with the split storyline with multiple characters going on, but this seems pretty focused on one character, and I hope it stays that way a little bit, because this is a fan favorite character, much like Boba. And again, it's just like, I don't want to make those comparisons, but it's just one of those things. Like, I hope that this time, we stay really focused on Obi-Wan, and we don't get a full episode of just Owen Lars or whatever. I don't know.
There's going to be an opening episode, and then 4 episodes of The Mandalorian, and then a closing episode.
And then a closing episode, and that happens to show him at some point in there.
Yeah,
says anything.
And we know that Hayden Christensen is reprising his role as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. Whether that includes flashbacks or not, I think a lot of us are hoping that we do see those flashbacks to Clone Wars content. But if we don't, then at least we know he's in the suit, and I'm fine with that. Just knowing that he's kind of there.
Like a hologram, like a recording or something, right?
Right, yeah, it could be anything,
Maybe,
and
I would be surprised if they wanted to reuse the Order 66 recording. They might want to do a fresh recording of that.
Yeah, and it might even be it might be possible that we could even be flashing back to some of Ewan McGregor's younger years. Maybe they'll de-age him a little bit and flash back to some earlier Obi-Wan moments, right? This year they're releasing a Marvel comic series called Obi-Wan Kenobi, which takes place before the series begins. And that's going to be a micro series between 4 and 5 issues long. And there's also going to be a novel released this year called Padawan, which is focusing in on a young Obi-Wan Kenobi before the events of The Phantom Menace. And they have confirmed that this novel will not feature his relationship with Satine from Mandalore, because we do know that's part of his past as well. This is supposed to get into a little bit of a different story. But yeah, there's between those two things, there's a lot of stories for people to look forward to before the show comes out. And on top of that...
I don't think they'll skip the Satine thing entirely.
They've mentioned it. They've publicly come out and said it. But the author has, at least.
Okay, I could see it. Right.
It's just a phase of his life that they're getting into where that's just not part of the story. There's so much packed into this book that they're just kind of saving that for another novel. But this novel that's coming out,
I would be surprised. Yeah. I was going to say, I would be surprised if it showed up in the series, though, because it would tie in perfectly with all the Mandalorian stuff.
Yeah.
In like Book of Boba and Mandalorian.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that being said, like, I hope that if they do any flashbacks, I hope that they've hired somebody to play Satine well, because I feel like that was a really damaging part for the character of Obi-Wan, right? Like, there's a big part of his story arc is losing this person that he cares about a lot. Not just Anakin, but this woman that he kind
Satine?
of... Satine is from the Clone Wars. It was revealed that, actually, thank you for... This is why we having Reid around, like people, I've brought this up many times, but, having someone just to jog my memory that not the whole world has seen Clone Wars is actually very helpful. So for anyone who hasn't seen Clone Wars, Satine was, Duchess Satine is the Duchess of Mandalore, who rules Mandalore during the Clone Wars. And she's actually the older sister of Bo-Katan, who most people might know now from Book of Boba Mandalorian. And but she actually made her first appearances in Star Wars: The Clone Wars and appearances again in Star Wars Rebels. So she's been a primary character of TV Star Wars for a long time now. And her older sister was Satine. And what happened was Darth Maul takes over Mandalore. A lot of people are aware that the last season of Clone Wars takes place on Mandalore in a primary kind of final battle, which sees the storyline of Ahsoka and Captain Rex help out a group of Mandalorians try and retake their homeworld from Darth Maul, who has at this point been resurrected and come to power and taken over the whole planet. And Darth Maul is actually responsible for executing Satine in front of Obi-Wan, and it's revealed that Obi-Wan once had a tempting relationship with her in his Padawan years with Qui-Gon before he kind of finally committed to just staying as a Jedi. And I guess it was just one of those phases in a Jedi's life in which, like, they're kind of deciding, like, is this for me? And he put that aside. He put his emotions aside and gave up the life with Satine, who he was protecting, much like Anakin and Padme's relationship and how that sparks up. He was in the same kind of mission with Satine, but he actually makes the decision on behalf of keeping, true to the Jedi's code, and gives up that relationship. So for him, all those years later, to lose Satine to an enemy that he thought he'd killed and actually came back, it was quite the revenge story for Maul. Oof. And it was quite a devastating blow to Obi-Wan's, character, right? And then not too much later, he loses Anakin, and the whole Jedi Order falls with it, right? So, there's a lot that this guy's been through. And go to a story that takes place 10 years after Episode 3, after this duel with his brother.
You know what? Just talking about everything that happened to Obi-Wan would make a lot more sense for him to become a hermit and be depressed.
Yeah.
Luke, just saying.
Well,
I mean, I would hope the guy's not too hard on himself. I mean, like, how can you, like, judge yourself for not cutting Darth Maul in half harder? Like,
quarter.
I mean, I get the guy's depressed or whatever, but, like, I mean, he did cut the dude in half, so. Like, I would just feel bad if he really is like hard on himself for that. Like,
Right.
you don't deserve it, man. You
Right.
deserve better.
Yeah. So there's there's a lot to look forward to with this show, and there's some stories coming out which will give people a look into his past in further detail. Other than just the Clone Wars and the films. But it's also worth mentioning that the Journals of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which were a series of comic books kind of highlighted in the Star Wars Marvel comic series, were all episodes or issues that focused in on Luke Skywalker reading a journal that Ben Kenobi had left behind. And what they did is they made a collective works of all the times that he looks into this journal, and it recovers memories of Obi-Wan's past on Tatooine and around those events. And it puts them in one bound issue or one bound volume called Star Wars, Marvel Comics, the Journals of Obi-Wan Kenobi or something like that. So anyone who's looking for more stories about Obi-Wan can also go to that for a couple one-off kind of things as well, which also fills in the gaps between the prequels and probably this appearance, or even between this show and episode 4. But yeah, before we kind of break down this trailer, is there anything you guys want or don't want to see in the entirety of this show?
Ooh. That, like, I don't want to see, like, you mean like characters that like show up or something like that?
Characters, events.
Mandalorian. I don't need to see more of Mandalorian.
No more
I love the
Mandalorians.
but I've seen enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
We got
That's fair.
basically 2 seasons of Mandalorian. We don't need more. But I don't know, man. Like, I'm just stoked that Obi-Wan's finally getting his own long overdue series, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say I would like to see something to do with pod racing. Because it's been way too long. It's got to make a comeback.
I mean, it was in the trailer, man. You saw the little kid.
Yeah,
he was like on the,
Luke was pretending.
He was pretending. There's hope.
And this one's probably going to have mixed opinions to people listening, but I don't want to see Obi-Wan and Darth Vader duel. I feel like it would cause too many issues with
I agree.
With A New Hope.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think you and I are maybe in this boat where we're hoping that doesn't happen, but we also kind of know it's going to happen because they've been hinting at this.
It's true.
They've been very, very clear this is going to be the rematch of the century. And it's like, okay, what's a rematch if they're not fighting, right? So
like,
I think we're going to see it happen, but at the same time, I'm very concerned. And we can get into that for maybe after we kind of break down this trailer, because that's a big subject.
Well, I have a question then. So maybe this is too hopeful, but do you think this series is going to span like long enough to bring it right up to New Hope, and they're just going to redo the actual duel itself in like
I don't think so.
New Hope?
That's an interesting concept. I don't know if they would go that far, but that's an interesting idea for sure. Mind you, I mean, I don't know. I mean, touching the original Star Wars movie like that, though, that's a bit risky, especially when
I
all
feel
the
like then you get an alternate timelines too, because if stuff doesn't line up and it's all kind of goofy.
Well, I just think it'll be interesting. I mean, maybe you know more than me, but I think it'll be interesting to see because they said it's a limited series.
Mhm.
You said there's how many episodes? Like
6.
5?
Six, yeah.
6 episodes. So it's like, how much are they actually going to cover, and like how long are these episodes going to be?
Right. I'd be surprised if they were any less short of an hour per episode. I think they're all going to hit at least the 50-minute to 60-minute mark. Yeah.
I'd be really disappointed if we got a bunch of 30-minute episodes.
Yeah, especially if this is the only season of it. Oh my gosh, that'd be
That'd be.
I'd cry a little bit. We'd basically just be getting a normal movie at that point.
Yeah. What
Like,
I want
not
to
even
see,
like an extended version.
what I want to see is 6 hours of just Obi-Wan Kenobi in a desert, doing stuff, hiding from the Empire, being hunted,
Meditating
and,
for 4 hours.
exactly,
hermit.
meditating. Yeah. All right, let's get into this trailer. So, spoilers for
Spying
anyone.
on some kid with binoculars from behind the rocks.
Kid
Not
watching.
creepy at all.
Kid watching. Yeah. All right.
Definitely a role model.
Spoilers for anyone who avoids trailers. We are about to break down this trailer. All right, so let's start off with the first scene. I got it open on my screen if you guys want to also go through it on your end. We start off with a shot of some rocks. And in the background, Obi-Wan riding, what is that, an EOP?
Yeah, EOP. Yep.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
So EOPs were those farting camel things from the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
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 Jar Jar stepped in doo-doo from
That's right.
Gizzy's.
Favorite. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So that's the first shot, and not a lot to say. So let's move on here. We got the clustered city streets of one of the. I'm assuming this is Mos Eisley. Would you say so? Would you guys say so?
Yeah,
They
because
kinda all
we
look the
don't remember.
same.
We don't want it to be Mos
Espa?
Espa.
Right. That's the
Yeah.
busy town. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. Luca's closer to Isley, so it could be that, or it could be like, I guess Anchorhead was just like a single building, right? So it kind of has to be Mos Eisley.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. Well, actually, come to think of it, you're right. I mean, there is the possibility that it's Anchorhead, because I don't think we've really seen Anchorhead on screen yet, right? I could take you as far as Anchorhead, but
Yeah, you're right. We just saw Toshi Station. We
Right.
didn't see Anchorhead.
right, yeah, exactly.
So this could be Anchorhead.
Could be
Because
Anchorhead.
in the KOTOR games, Anchorhead is a full town. It's a town, not a city.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fully fleshed out, as
Right.
swoop bike racing and gambling and the usual things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Typical Star Wars, day-to-day life.
Yep.
It's also worth mentioning that through the course of this teaser trailer, I mean, we do get a little bit of a mix in from the Ben Kenobi magical. The first time we hear his theme, which I didn't know if a lot of people knew this, but what's now known as the Binary Sunset theme, there's some elements in there which was also referred to as like Obi-Wan's theme at Once Upon a Time. I think that's possibly the name for one of his tracks on like one of the many different variations of the soundtrack that they've released over the years. But they have that little jingle in there, and then it kind of mixes in with the Duel of Fates. And which the Duel of Fates rendition in this trailer is kind of like a epic spoofed up version of the one that we've got from the Phantom Menace, which is like really cool because everyone loves that song. And this one's even more intense, faster and more intense.
That's right. George must have been in control of that. Giving notes.
So another shot of the EOP. Anyone notice anything in this shot?
That there's something tiny behind it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the shot very carefully to think, just trying to see if we have any kind of Easter eggs given anywhere. But all I can stare at is the rear end of that EOP.
The damage dealing end.
The damage dealing. I'm looking at this. Man, a deadly weapon over there. Watch where you point that thing. Okay, yeah. So then we flash forward to another shot where it looks like he's cleaning something. This kind of reminds me of the shot in the Episode 7 trailer when Rey is cleaning some junk, like in
The scavenged parts.
yeah,
Parts of the Star Destroyer.
exactly. It
It looks very similar to that. Yeah.
it kind of looks like it's kind of playing up on that a little bit, and it's funny that it's I don't know. It's just. It's interesting that it almost comes across as a parallel, even though it might not have anything to do with that at all. It just it's funny that
I kind of wonder, like, does he have to like actually like work like a normal person now? Like, is that what's happening in this shot? Like, does he have to try to scrape a living off of, whatever he's got going on or doing out there?
Yeah, I don't
That's a
know.
good question because he's not funded by the Jedi Order anymore, right? So he probably
Yeah.
does need some sort of at least part-time job.
That's right. Yeah, I mean,
Watching kids from rocks doesn't pay a lot.
Yeah, not no, probably not. You had to pay for those binoculars somehow.
yeah.
That's right.
No, it's so true. And there's something also I forgot to mention about the previous shot, which kind of flows into this one, I guess. But he's wearing a poncho, and it just kind of takes me back to Qui-Gon on Tatooine wearing his poncho, trying to be indiscreet in his Jedi stature. And now Obi-Wan, here he is kind of doing the same thing, but he's kind of on the run for his life sort of thing. And the ultimate mission of protecting Luke Skywalker from a distance sort of thing. But yeah, you're right. I don't, he might be cleaning something. He could be working a part-time job just to kind of stay afloat. Or on the other hand, maybe he's just
like some sort of mechanics.
maybe
fixing
he's
something.
running errands for people or something. I don't know, right? I mean, he at this point in time, or at least in episode 4, at that point in time, he's known as this hermit that just lives in the Dune Sea. But it's possible, being 10 years prior to that he could be, living a different life, doing other stuff, maybe a little more active, shall we say? Maybe not a hermit just yet. Maybe the events of this show
He's got to earn that title.
Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe the events of this show really causes him to retreat into being a hermit, right? Maybe he realizes he's already like living a bit too dangerously close to Luke Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
So we get the shot number 4 here. Another shot of the EOP from the rear end. And what is this? Is that Obi-Wan?
We lost.
Looks like it.
I'm at 15
on
seconds.
The back of the.
Yeah,
the 15-second mark. Yeah, I would assume so.
He looks like he's riding off into the Dune Sea. Well, almost to where he has his hut, right?
Yeah.
It could be him looking for a home, or maybe somewhere to settle or something like that.
Well, like, I mean, if he lives in the middle of the desert, maybe he just has to make daily or some semi-regular trips into town to, I don't know, trade for stuff or get food. I mean,
local news.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. Josh, were you thinking he's looking for somewhere to build a house? Because I assumed he just acquired.
Maybe
that.
Can't be that hard to find a mud hut in the middle of town.
Yeah, maybe they'll pull a back to like a Boba Fett thing and flash back some moments as to like how he got where he got, kind of thing, right? Before
being trained by sand people.
Maybe it's just me, but his hair looks really dark in this shot.
Yeah.
Looks really brown, right? He's kind of, I don't know. He's aging a little.
Is that
bit,
what
so
leads you to believe it might be someone else?
I don't know.
I don't think it is, because if you go back to the like 8-second or if like the 8-second shot or whatever, where he's walking through the town, his hair is pretty dark.
Yeah, it is. It does. Yeah, it looks like.
So I think it is, because he's still got that poncho at 15 seconds too.
Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty safe bet that it's him.
Right. All right, 20 seconds and we're on a rock. He's sitting there. Flash to his binoculars, is it? Or his electro binoculars or whatever, and he's looking over the Lars homestead. And zooms in on a young Luke Skywalker who is pretending to race with his racing goggles on and arms stretched out. He's got his little Annie face on. He almost looks like little Anakin Skywalker, and I think this is quite intentional to put this kid in a costume that makes him look like young Jake Lloyd, right?
Yeah.
I think
that's a really good point.
It's
the same goggle design and everything, right?
Yeah. It's a nice parallel that they made here, and very well done creative choice.
Do you think Luke will pod race and he'll be the only human that can do it?
I don't know, maybe. So then flash forward to an aging Ewan McGregor with his binoculars.
I thought this shot was actually pretty surreal. Just like seeing Obi-Wan, just how much he's aged.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
even McGregor, right?
Yeah, and it's so almost so good to see him. You know what I mean? Like it makes me happy to look at this face again and know that that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Not just Ewan McGregor in a different role, but you know, this is the Obi-Wan we've been expecting to see, right? He's also got the graying hair near his ears, right? And he just looks so good. He just looks so good. He's got his Jedi issued binoculars, I think. I think this is the same model that he used
ones,
in the small thin ones that he used in the Clone Wars. Still got those kicking around. Cuts to black. We get the Lucasfilm logo in gold. And
then it gets Thanos snapped.
Disappeared by I guess Thanos snapped away. All right, cut to a ship, a very dark, black, sleek ship, blue thruster
Which
engines.
is a very similar design to Krennic's ship.
It is, yeah. It's Imperial for sure, and it's hovering above the water, flying towards the peak of a tower, poking out of this ocean world. We actually do know where this is. This is likely Nur. Spelled Nur. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It is the world opposite to Mustafar, and Nur is actually where the Inquisitors have their headquarters set up. So Vader's fortress is on Mustafar, and Nur is a water world opposite to the lava world, which is actually where the Inquisitors kind of have their headquarters, and they're close enough to Vader that he can kind of keep an eye on them and control things. But I guess makes a quick hop and a skip for him to get there if he needs to do any personal meetings, I guess. But yeah, in Jedi Fallen Order, at the very end of that game, you know, it's the final level or the final location that you go to as Cal Kestis is infiltrating Nur and eventually fighting Vader. You played through that game, right, Reid?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You remember much of Nur? Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't you remember on our trivia thing too? That was like one of the things that I think someone else couldn't guess it, but I was like, "Oh, I know that one because I played that game."
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, so
but yeah, this big tower, there's this big tower whatever and there's like a big underwater complex. I don't like who knows if we'll see any of that, I think, right? But I'm pretty sure there's a big underwater complex, right?
Yeah, so that's the peak of the tower, it looks like. And yeah, the tower goes underwater by quite a while, by quite a ways, sorry. And Cal Kestis, when he infiltrates the tower, he has to dive, and they have to go through the bottom, right? So I guess the top landing pad is kind of reserved for, of course, it's almost a security measure to have a base constructed in a way that you have to enter through the top and then you go down and then
like
there's no escape except one way in, one way
yeah.
out kind of thing. It's almost the
Pretty
perfect
easy to-
defense system. Yeah. So it's very
Unless you're
well.
attacked by Corins or Mon Calamari.
Right. Yeah. I guess Nur is you know, just a very barren world, right? Like no other species, I would assume, lives on Nur. And being opposite to Mustafar, maybe it's just one of those places where they figured, well, nobody's here. It's close to Vader's castle. Let's set up shop, you know, right there. And on the landing pad, it's worth mentioning, you can see an Imperial shuttle, like a white Imperial shuttle that we see from Return of the Jedi, sitting on that platform. We also see some other small Imperial ships. And, you know, the very classic red and black Imperial design for the lighting and the structure. So we got a quick shot of the Grand Inquisitor. And
Okay, I was gonna ask who this guy was because I haven't seen him so far. Has he been in anything else?
He was the primary
Star Wars
villain.
Rebels.
Yeah, he was the primary villain of Star Wars Rebels.
Season 1.
Season 1, yeah. Who, it's worth mentioning, is traditionally voiced by Jason Isaacs, who plays Mr. Malfoy, you know, from Harry Potter. And it doesn't look like they've hired him to replay his character again.
Reprise the role. Yeah.
It's funny because I almost feel like he would look more like the Inquisitor than this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, it's just another one of those things like Cad Bane, like Ahsoka, right? Like it's just, I don't know if the visual translation from animation to live action is really paying off in this instance. And as much as I'm excited to see this character, again, it's like, why not just hire Jason Isaacs? He's like a really awesome actor. He played the character before. Was he just busy? Like, why?
It's a good question. Like, maybe it just came down to the director and who they wanted. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe wanted too much money. Who knows, right?
Who knows? Yeah, it could be anything. But
it is cool to see him in live action, though. And the fact that I really disliked how in Rebels he's supposed to be the head Inquisitor, not a regular Inquisitor, but the head Inquisitor, and he's killed off in the first season.
Yeah,
Also, spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, sorry, Reid.
I think I'll get over it.
Rupert Friend is the actor who plays the Grand Inquisitor. You can look him up. It's
a good name for a villain.
Yeah. What has he done before? He's been acting in a few different things. Oh, he's been in quite a few things. Hitman, Agent 47. He played Agent 47. 2015's Hitman.
Oh, wait, the newest one?
2015's Hitman, Agent 47. If that's the newest one, then yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know who this guy is. Wow, that's him?
Yep, that's him.
Yeah,
yep.
Okay, I kind of see it now. All right. I think I can, yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So let's just also, I'm just gonna play a little bit of the audio here because there's some stuff in these shots that might be worth hearing here.
The key to hunting Jedi is patience.
Is that the? I don't know, because I mean, I know Jason Isaacs not reprising the role, but does that sound like that would be him to you guys? Because it almost sounds like. Oh, actually, yeah. You know what? It is him. I got the closed captionings turned off of this teaser, and yeah, he says, "The key to hunting to
hunting Jedi is patience."
Yeah, so that's the Grand Inquisitor speaking. Is the key to hunting Jedi is patience.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
And in the background, we can see another Inquisitor hanging out in the background. This Inquisitor is the green-faced, kind of samurai helmeted guy. He's known as the Fifth Brother. And we do know from Rebels what happens to the Fifth Brother. He's the gray-skinned humanoid back there, chilling. So he's around.
Is that different than the guy we see later on? Or is it the same guy? Same guy.
Same guy as he's the Fifth Brother. So the Inquisitors, we know for a fact that there is like 11 or 12. And, it's a lot of them have had names or mentions in the past. I can list them off here for you. They are known as... Where are they? Either you guys find the page for that?
I can try to find it.
Okay. All right, that'd be great. If you can find it, maybe we can revisit this conversation because they come up a few times in this teaser trailer. All right, so so he's chilling back there. It looks like this shot could be on Tatooine, and this Inquisitor is the Grand Inquisitor is interrogating somebody, and I don't know if this is an Imperial officer that he's speaking to or just some guy behind a counter, maybe in a cantina or something like that. It looks like there's tables and chairs and people sitting down everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then on 45 second mark, over the shoulder of the dude that he's speaking to, you can see another Inquisitor standing there in the background, who is in fact the one that we get close-up shots of later in the trailer, and her name is Reva, who is the first and is brand new Inquisitor to Star Wars, invented for this show, never shown up before, and her name, they actually gave her a name and not just 12th sister or 5th brother or whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say I found a list and it's just that over and over again. Second sister, 10th brother, 6th brother.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, all right. Yeah. So you want to read off all of them for us?
Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but
How many of them actually have names other than XYZ
None of them.
brother or sister?
None of them. I don't
they
know.
just go by their number.
Oh, you know what? That's not true. I think one of them does have a name, and it's the one from Fallen Order. It's the one that that we got to
Yeah.
know a little better. Yeah.
It's the chick, right?
Yeah. What's her face?
The sister.
Bill Valen,
Is that it?
the
Uh,
6th brother, once known as Bill Valen.
Oh, okay. Okay. So some of them do have names. Yeah.
I
Interesting.
think once known is in they had to give up their name, but prior to becoming Inquisitors.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It looks like second sister was from Fallen Order.
Second sister. Yeah. And she had a name.
Padawan Trilla Siduri.
Trillas. Yeah. That's what it was. Trill.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah. So, there's a lot, 8th brother, 7th sister, 6th brother, 10th brother, second sister from Fallen Order,
So
ninth sister from
12,
Fallen Order.
Tanner? How many are listed?
Looks like it's around there.
There was also once
There's some that are just listed as unknown female Inquisitor. So I don't know if that means they have a number or not.
yeah, that's the
unknown.
red-skinned lady, right?
Yeah, and then unknown male Twi'lek Inquisitor.
Yeah. There's a Twi'lek who's I've never seen a Twi'lek that's like pitch black before, but he's portrayed in the comics as a Twi'lek who's like painted black. Like he's it's almost like he's painted his skin that way, his Leku and everything like pitch black. So maybe it's like something that he's wearing over his face or something like that, but that's how
Maybe
he's
the Inquisitors like their Twi'leks well done.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, who knows? So, yeah.
It looks like there's 10 plus the Grand Inquisitor, 11
Right.
total.
Okay, yeah. So this new edition is probably, I guess, a 12th that we just haven't seen before, right? So she's gonna be featured a few times.
Oh, so
in this
you don't
teaser.
think they're filling in like a gap or something? You think this is a whole new person that they've added on, or
Oh yeah. This new Inquisitor who's currently her name is Reva, right? She's being played by who is it? Who is it now? She's the same lady who was in the more recent 007, wasn't she?
oh, she was
Moses.
she's technically 007.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig's 007 is
Retired.
actual James Bond is retired or whatever. And then she's like, "Oh, here you go. You like this is your honor, not mine, or whatever."
Is that her? Is that her though? Like I'm just trying to figure
I
because she
can't-
looks
I don't
like her.
think so.
Oh no, maybe
I
it's
don't
not
know.
her.
It
Maybe
doesn't look.
No, my
'Cause she
bad.
has
No, you know
really
what I
short
recognize her
hair.
from? Because I recognize her from something. Sorry, I recognize her from Queen's Gambit. That's what she's from.
Okay.
That's what she's from. Yeah, Moses Ingram. Yeah, she kind of looks like the actress from 007 though. She's got the same kind of hair and everything. But okay, let's move on to the next shot here.
Before we move on for her character, it's confirmed she's an Inquisitor and not Darth Vader's secret apprentice.
Yeah. I figured she was just. I figured she was an Inquisitor that they maybe just specifically assigned to hunt Obi-Wan down, or something, right?
Yeah, come on, Tanner. Darth Vader already has an apprentice. His name's Starkiller.
That's right.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah, come on.
Come on,
No.
man.
Because that's not canon. I wouldn't be surprised if they just like plugged in a different character in that position. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
There's only one Vader apprentice, as far as I'm concerned.
We flash to the title card streaming exclusively on Disney Plus, and we get a shot of another dirt train, or another train of some kind. You know, he's what would you
Maybe
call
this
it?
is
Like
Obi-Wan's
their,
new job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
who
part of
knows?
a work crew getting a shuttle to
Yeah.
a dig site or something like that. Could you
Could be
imagine him at a
a mine.
construction site being a Jedi? It's just like, hey, go lift that or drag that like rock up a hill or whatever. Like the temptation to not just use the force, be like, oh look, it got up there. I don't know how.
And I enjoy
Yeah,
how his
yeah,
job is just being an Egyptian slave.
yeah.
Go drag these rocks around.
Oh my gosh.
So the audio for this clip with the train, it says Jedi cannot help what they are. That's what somebody's saying. And also, it's worth mentioning the city in the background. We haven't seen it before, so yeah, it very well could be maybe Anchorhead or something like that. I don't know, because that spire, it looks like an airport or some sort of spaceport spire, kind of like what we've seen in Lothal, like that thing that Ezra
yeah.
hides out in all the time.
That he lives in. Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. But all the
Him and the
houses,
loft cats.
the loft cats, yeah. It's just there's something about this place. I feel like it's maybe a new city on Tatooine that we haven't seen before on film. So that's kind of neat. It's also cool to see this, whatever this train is, like a public transit system train, like I don't know. It's cool. It's kind of neat. It just adds a little bit more to the life on Tatooine. It's not so much of a middle of nowhere planet as I think Luke made it out to be. Because every show we've seen and every movie we've seen, even Phantom Menace, has just consistently grown this planet with more and more stuff. And, and then Mandalorian comes along and confirms all the different cities on the planet and all that. So it's not Jakku. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's not Jakku. It's not
I
this
think
dust ball with nothing.
I think that's exactly part of it. Is they're trying to distance
Make
it
it-
from Jakku, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to show yes, it's a desert planet where there's not a lot, but there's still a society that's functioning.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, we'll go to the next shot. Close up on Obi-Wan inside the train with a bunch of passengers. Looks like he's thinking to himself.
Thinking, why did I ever agree to come here?
Yeah, and
Yeah, pretty.
let me just tell you guys what I'm thinking about the shot. This almost looks to me as if he is one of these other people. I think they're all workers. Like they're all working for maybe a corporation or something like that, or maybe a business.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe
That's what I was saying. They're on they're on the shuttle bus to the work site, to the dig site.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know, because one of the guys, you can see him pass a canteen of water over to the guy across from him. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I also noticed there's a few new aliens here. I think the one on the right is from the sequels.
Oh yeah. There's like a weird kind of Pokemon looking dude back there.
Kind of like a mole
Yeah.
looking alien.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. I think this is one of those those aliens from Rise of Skywalker on that what is it, Pisana? That planet that they go to where everyone's partying all the time.
Oh, that's
That's
Yeah.
Last Jedi.
No, that's Rise of Skywalker. They go to that planet where they meet Lando, and everyone's partying.
Oh, that time.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Okay, I was thinking of the casino.
Oh,
That's what I was thinking too.
no,
Actually,
that's no.
I was
yeah.
like, how dare you make me remember that?
You'd rather remember Skywalker? Okay, we flash
Just
to
pretend the first two movies didn't happen, then it's not so bad.
yeah. We flash to Nur, and we see Reva, the new Inquisitor, standing at the head of a table in the conference room in the Fortress Inquisitorius. That's what it's called, underwater. And we can see the fifth brother sitting at the opposite end of the table, and another Inquisitor, what looks like to me, at the other end of the table. And this is a brand new Inquisitor. Again, another one, which we haven't been shown before. So maybe now we're up to like 13, I think, at this point.
40th brother.
Just there's a reason they
67th
number
sister.
Two stormtroopers in the background.
because they could just keep adding numbers. They don't have to remember names. They're like, who's this guy? It's 28. Oh, got it. Sure.
Yeah.
Makes
And
sense.
also, it could be that some of them will die, and that they just reuse the numbers, just like the 007 thing we're talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
a new one every week.
Oh, jeez. The
Vader
turnover of this
comes in
job.
and says, wait a second, who are you? Oh, number 4? Sure.
You look different than last time.
Yeah. I thought he had like tentacles. You know what? Forget it. Let's just go find the Jedi.
You know what I also find kind of funny is how when we look at the original trilogy and we see all the architecture of the Imperial stuff, like it was very industrial, but it's not overtly evil. And now we're seeing like the modern take on it, and I get that they're supposed
Yeah.
to be a little bit more Sith aligned, but it's just so overtly evil.
Right.
Black
right.
and red everywhere. At least like the old stuff, it was like clean, like
It's very military,
basic,
right?
yeah,
Like,
very military,
Yeah.
like very clean cut, like grays and blacks and whites and stuff like that. This one is just like
it
black
looks like
and red.
it looks like a
everywhere.
reused set from one of the sequel movies because this is
does.
all the same lighting and everything that we see inside the First Order stuff.
You're so right. Like the style of this place looks almost more First Order than it does Imperial.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, minor note there, but yeah, it's whatever. I mean, it's an underwater base. Maybe it's bound to look a little different, but yeah, you're right about the color scheme and everything. It's almost a bit too. But yeah, you're because I know we've seen the inside of Fortress Vader before, and that's pretty similar. So
That's similar as well.
yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe there's like an intention there.
That's
They
why I
just had
think
the
it's supposed to be
same local
Sith
builder.
like.
They just had the same local builder. They were like, he just got done on Mustafar, and he's like, and they're like, hey, you know what? We need a base over here too. He's like, oh yeah, sure.
It's a 2-for-1
I'll
deal.
I'll use the same material. Yeah, he's like, look, I got leftover materials. It'll be cheaper. Just reuse it.
So next shot, we cut to I guess this is maybe Tatooine again, and whatever that new city is, or maybe it's a whatever city it is in. It's
The place in the
probably
desert planet.
Yeah, the place in the desert on Tatooine. Yeah, and it looks like somebody's hanging, because we see some shoes and some dude looking up at this guy, and a bunch of people crowding around, all kind of, looking in fear up at this body. Flashing forward to the next shot where we see Reva up close in her suit, holding out her lightsaber, pointing it at civilians all over the place. And you see Owen Lars standing in the background, and close up on his face. To me, it almost looks like maybe this body is being suspended in air by the Force, maybe.
Could be, yeah.
Oh yeah,
As opposed
that's
to Han.
true.
Intimidation tactic.
Yeah, it's a pretty typical like fear tactic. Like seeing it's like, oh, see, look at this guy. Look at what happened to him. If you
Yeah.
don't cooperate with us, you'll end up just like him. Because this worked in the first 50 movies people did this in.
That's right. Yeah. It's also
Yeah.
I got the closed captioning odds over these couple shots. It says or whoever's talking, I think it's the Grand Inquisitor. He says their compassion leaves a trail, and he's talking about the Jedi. And right when he says leaves a trail, it close up on Owen Lars' face, and we know from the comic books that Owen Lars has been very hesitant to trust, or not to trust, but he's been very hesitant to accept Obi-Wan's help and in protecting Luke Skywalker, because I think what he thinks is Obi-Wan just brings trouble, right? And maybe it has something to do with the events of this show.
That's a good point. Yeah, because you could argue that the trouble maybe would have been the fact that Anakin was hiding there and then had to leave and save him, but it's like didn't really affect the Lars family. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Owen and Brune, I think know the responsibility that they have for protecting Luke Skywalker, right? Or more so, maybe they know what he is, or know who they're protecting, but then want to change his own destiny for his own good. Kind of like how the Dursleys do with Harry Potter, right? The Dursleys know that Harry's a wizard, but they don't support the lifestyle of sending that kid off to wizarding school. They they make a lie out of who his parents were and try and hide who he is, right? And I think maybe it's something similar to what we're seeing with the events unfolding on Tatooine with the Inquisitors coming after Obi-Wan and stuff. Maybe there's a large fear that they know that, they're looking for Jedi, Force-sensitive people. If they find Luke, they're going to take him, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe
'cause,
they'll
I mean,
find
they were-
Obi-Wan, and that'll put his family in danger.
Yeah.
Well, and they were there too when Anakin came in Attack of the Clones or
Yeah.
Episode 2 or whatever, and like when Obi-Wan came to them with Luke, they wanted a kid of their own, but they couldn't have their own kid, and so they're like, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would still have to kind of come to terms with the fact that like this isn't their kid. He happens to be the son of an extremely powerful Jedi, and they have no idea how to deal with that,
Right.
or like any like weird stuff that could be going on. If anything, like they wouldn't like know how to deal with that at all.
Right.
So
It's also really cool to see Owen Lars back because we got way more out of him in Episode 4 than I think his minor appearances in the prequels. But Joel Edgerton is reprising his role as Owen Lars, who did play Owen in Episode 2 and 3, and I believe, is it Bonnie Pease? Is her last name? Is playing Beru. And I believe this is the same actress. Yeah, it is. It is the same actress who played her in Episode 2 and 3. So,
That's cool.
They
And
got
they
the
got
two.
the same cast.
Yeah, they got the same cast back to play the Lars family, which is really, really neat.
yeah, they've all aged anyway, so it's like perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
This was our plan all along.
Yeah. Next shot, we have Reva again standing on a rooftop in a very different environment. Very city world, could be anything between Coruscant, Nar Shaddaa, anywhere where there's a lot of life. Could be a new place. And there's a glowing street sign behind her with the letters, was that E and R? Or if I'm reading that correctly?
Wait, you mean VT
Yeah.
7?
Yeah,
or...
you're right, Josh. It's ER.
Yeah. So that's Aurebesh, the Star Wars letter translation from English to, their version of English written down in Star Wars.
Oh.
So those are big letters, E and
It's called
R.
Basic.
It's called Basic. Yeah. It's called Basic. Read. Everyone can read it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a galactic standard.
It's a galactic
Sorry, I
standard.
didn't finish
yeah.
my education at whatchamacallit. I didn't make the cut for Imperial Academy.
There we go.
ER could stand for emergency room. Could stand for a lot of things. It could also just be modelers and effects artists who aren't necessarily hardcore Star Wars fans, not knowing really what to throw up there, and then they just choose some
Or
random
there's
letters
more
out
letters
of the
above
alphabet.
it.
It doesn't look like there is. It looks like it ends off there. Maybe there's some below it. I don't know. Maybe. It just looks like looks like the full sign to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
on
think you're right.
59 seconds here, and it just looks like the full thing. But
Yeah.
and then we cut to an over-the-shoulder shot where Rev is looking down over the city, and this is a very different environment than what we're used to seeing as far as Star Wars City goes. The only thing I can make a comparison to is the lower levels of Coruscant, but because we can
Attack
see
of the Clones.
yeah, and because we can see what's behind her, either they've replaced the background to hide, maybe, because I know there's such a thing as trailer shots. Sometimes they make trailer shots to disorient people like us, like breaking stuff like this down. But maybe they replaced the upper levels of Coruscant with just a cloudy sky. But very well could be Coruscant was what we're looking at, especially when I see this over the shoulder shot.
What does that sign in the background say, Josh?
You looking at the green one?
It's kind of like a yellowy green, yeah.
Looks like it's got a bit of a font on it, but yeah, that's M-I, and then L, and then what? L-I-M. Am I reading that right? The C. Oh, sorry. No, that's the. Hold on, I've got to look up this alphabet Gotta try and decipher this. It's
I
got a
think
bit of
the
a
last letter is a K.
it's got a bit of a font on it, so it could be yeah. It's got a bit of a weird
Did it say milk?
twist.
M-I-L-K?
Milk factory. The last
Space
letter
milk.
is
That blue
K.
space milk has to come from somewhere, guys.
Milk. Yeah, it does look like it. It does look like it says milk. Yeah.
Why does it say milk?
I don't know, man, but I mean, you remember those big posters going, those big billboards, got milk?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, yes, I do.
All right,
That's
there
so
it is.
random.
It's settled. It says milk.
There we go.
It does.
Spoilers, everyone. This show will involve dangerous amounts of milk.
Dangerous amounts of knowledge. I mean, that could unfold the
Yeah.
show's plot right there. Milk. All right. Next shot, minute 1:01 seconds. We get a close up of the back of that shuttle that we saw pulling up over Nur. This is obviously the Inquisitor's ship, I think, at this point. It's safe to say. And the quote being said on screen of the closed captioning says, "The Jedi code is like an itch." And we get, and the next shot, it's worth mentioning that might be Tatooine again that the shuttle's pulling into.
I suspect that this shot takes place just a little bit before she's keeping everyone at a lightsaber point,
Right.
force choking them.
Totally. I think this is, in fact, possibly Mos Eisley, because the doors on the building surrounding the landing pad that she's got her ship parking on, it just looks almost too much like they've tried to make it look obvious that this is going to be Mos Eisley. With the single strip street ahead of it and everything. I don't know. It just screams
And the
Mos Eisley.
5G tower in the background.
Yeah. It just screams Mos Eisley to me. If it's not like Anchorhead, it's Mos Eisley. And then we get a shot of an Imperial officer walking in close up. Jedi code is like an itch. Flash forward to the next shot. We get a very brief glimpse of a cybernetic Inquisitor making their way through the crowd. It looks like they're cyborg. They got this weird kind of helmet on. This is the other Inquisitor that was sitting at the table earlier in the trailer with the fifth brother and Reva across the table. And it looks like they're also interrogating some people in a different environment.
If I can interject, so I think when this Inquisitor is walking and then it kind of pans and you see Obi-Wan appears to be stalking this Inquisitor, keeping an eye on them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So when we saw Reva or whatever looking over, whatever mystery city that we think looks like Coruscant, maybe it's just one of the Tatooine cities, but at night, because I don't think we've ever seen any of the Tatooine cities at nighttime.
Right. That's a possibility for sure. And that being said, this shot specifically with that neon sign in the background, I don't know if that doesn't really ring a whole lot. I don't know. In all the previous times we've seen Mos Eisley, I feel like we've never seen a sign like that. So, mind you, we haven't really seen a whole lot of Tatooine at night, like you were saying. Maybe.
There's a pretty good chance I'm completely wrong, but especially if some of these towns or cities are hubs of debauchery or whatever, maybe they have a really vibrant nightlife.
Yeah, totally.
Who knows, right?
Totally, and it could be
They got lots of cantinas.
Yeah, and it could be that new city that we just had, that we saw Obi-Wan on the train, driving towards, right? Like whatever that city is called.
Yeah,
it could be that place as well. Yeah, and there's a stormtrooper. There's two stormtroopers here, keeping watch over the citizens. And go to the next shot. Closed caption says he cannot help it, in response to the Jedi code is like an itch. And Obi-Wan dressed in his robes, hiding amongst those people, which looks like the same sequence. So it looks like he's really close to where those Inquisitors are interrogating people. To me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just cut really well, but it looks like that to me.
So like he's being tempted to try to intervene.
Yeah,
he has to
exactly.
make the choice to stay in the shadows or not.
Exactly, which kind of goes back to that quote, like the Jedi code is like an itch, helping other people, right?
So is that droid that we see? Is that an Imperial droid, or is that just some random?
doesn't look like it. It looks like the stormtroopers interrogating it, right?
This
Yeah.
oh, you're talking about, so we're at 1minute and 7 seconds now. You're
107.
talking about 107. Okay, so this is an Imperial droid, it looks like, because
Oh, it is.
it looks like that to me, because the body and the arms really resemble K2SO, aside from the head.
True.
It just
Yeah,
it's
the
just
head's
like,
pretty different.
yeah, the head's different, but it just kind of rings K2SO to me. Also, the letters that I can make out on the chest,
It says Ned. I looked it up.
it says it says Ned.
NED, Ned. So
There's
and then
two,
I couldn't
there's
figure
two
out
other,
if there's a scratch or something at the back there.
there
Spent
is
a while looking at it.
there is something behind it, and I think that's I don't know. It almost looks like either could be two numbers or two what would be a letter translation to a Q. But Ned Q. I don't know.
Because like it also just looks like scratched paint.
Yeah, it could be that too. So I don't know.
So-
maybe
And
a
then, like,
droid
the
named
next-
Ned would be kind of funny.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that it's a droid that actually is named Ned.
Right. Reid, you're saying something about the next shot, 108?
Oh yeah, 108, 109. So this was part of the reason I asked if it was potentially an Imperial droid, because this looks like we're still looking at the droid.
Yeah,
Like
you know,
kind of like you see the thing it holds in its hand. It's got like a mechanical hands or whatever, and it's still kind of the same color tone of armor and stuff like that.
right. It almost, it almost looks like a,
It kind of looked like, at first I was just like, oh, it's a stormtrooper, like stormtrooper armor.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's
what it looks
got like
like.
a mechanical hand. It seems like, I could be totally wrong, but
no, you're totally right. I think, and it's funny because the armor plates on this droid resemble stormtrooper armor a lot.
yeah. And it's like in that color tone again is still that blue and that desert tan brown or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I assumed in that shot or whatever, it looked like, maybe it spotted Obi-Wan over the stormtrooper's shoulder and then brings out whatever weapon-esque object. I don't even know what that is. It looks like a hammer.
It looks like
Like
a
a
hammer.
hammer, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a hammer to
Yeah.
me. Yeah. And then, all right, flashing to 110, we get Reva again in the city that she was looking over, parkouring off a falling piece of building or debris. It looks like maybe she cut it with her lightsaber and it's making a ramp between buildings. And flinging herself off the rooftop in the following shot. Cut to black. And we get the Grand Inquisitor saying, "Where is he?" with his intimidating, spinning, famous lightsaber.
Yeah, that's what all the Inquisitors have.
All
The
of
helicopter lightsabers.
All of the helicopter lightsabers, yeah. And they're spinning it in the face of some person who doesn't look like it's Owen Lars. It looks like it just could be some random guy, right? Stormtroopers in the
It's
background.
also worth pointing out that those spinning lightsabers can be used for flight.
Yeah, sadly.
What?
Yeah.
I don't remember
Don't
that
look
from
in too
Jedi
much to
Fallen
it,
Order.
Reid. Don't look in too
Yeah.
much to it.
It was something many people wanted decanonized.
Yeah,
But they can fly around using them as a helicopter blade. It's
that's
ridiculous.
right. That's right.
Maybe you should have just never told me that. I would have felt better about it if I had never known.
Yep. Sorry for all those listening out there.
It's like the new trilogy of movies. I would have been better off if I had just never watched them.
Between Darkness. We flash to title card Between Darkness. Music plays. Duel of Fates continues, I believe. We get Fifth Brother walking down even more hustling, busy streets with more neon signs. Probably that same planet that
Yeah.
Revo's on. It looks like all the Inquisitors are working much better in like small teams, kind of going planet by planet. Almost a way more active than what we saw in Star Wars Rebels. Because in Star Wars Rebels, we had very few Inquisitors left because that's much farther down the timeline, closer to Episode 4 than it is till when this show takes place. And the Inquisitors are kind of the last remnants of what's left of the Inquisitorius. So it also explains why in this show we have new Inquisitors that we haven't seen before, because there was more, and now there's apparently less. Fifth Brother is leading a pack of like 8 stormtroopers down the city streets, would you say?
Squad of stormtroopers.
Yeah. Yes.
Are we 100% sure it's the same guy? Because
Oh yeah,
Fifth
that's
Brother
Fifth
in
Brother.
Rebels was like ginormous and jacked.
Yeah, that is Fifth Brother. Yeah. Again, it's just one of
Like
those things.
Schwarzenegger body.
Yeah,
He
and
looks slightly taller than the stormtroopers. I don't know. Maybe.
I can confirm it's Fifth Brother because Sun Kang from Fast and Furious, who plays Han, is the actor who's playing the Fifth Brother. So this is a close up of him
Oh,
in
really?
costume. Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah. So this is the Fifth Brother. It says it on the Wikipedia as well.
Yeah, and then so this city though, Josh. So do you think that is still Coruscant? Because if it is, it's a bit of a newer
I don't know. It's
take
either
on Coruscant
it's
from what
either
we've seen.
yeah, and it could be the lower levels, right? It could be the lower levels of Coruscant, which we've seen a few times in Clone Wars. But yeah, it could be that. It could also be that planet that Reva was on in the previous shots.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think
because the
what
It's
buildings
like it
in
could
this
be
one, the
Nar
buildings
Shaddaa, but I don't
look
think so.
taller. Like this looks more like Coruscant than like the other shots we've seen.
yeah, totally,
True.
totally. It very well could be for sure. I'd honestly not be surprised if at some point in the show we see some random Jedi that we've never met before being killed by an Inquisitor. I would not be surprised because
Okay.
I think the idea that this trailer is giving off, that I think the show will also give off, is the Inquisitors are hunting Jedi down, right? And I think
Yeah.
what we have to, as viewers, because they're trying to appeal this show to an audience who's never been introduced to Inquisitors before from Star
Right.
Wars Rebels, right? I think the idea, something that you might even want to look forward to, other than Obi-Wan hiding from just these people with red lightsabers, is what is the fear that these people actually like? Why should Obi-Wan be afraid of these people, right? And something to display that level of power and skill that these guys have as a villain, other than Darth Vader out there. You know, they are Force users, so some of them previous Jedi that
Yeah, I'd
just,
say most of them are ex-Jedi.
yeah, I think a lot of them are ex-Jedi that just
Or
went bad,
ex
right?
wannabe Jedi.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the Grand Inquisitor is the overseer, probably trains any new people, but yeah, generally speaking, like a lot of them were ex Jedi, and Fifth Brother is probably no exception to that. So it's cool to see him in this shot here. We flash to a shot at 118 with two escape pods blasting off into space. No idea what's going on there, but maybe
I feel like they're trying to get New Hope vibes with that. With the escape pod going on a Tatooine.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. They almost also look like drop pods to me. Maybe they're maybe it's a way of just shooting Inquisitors off to other planets or something. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense when they got a shuttle, but whatever.
Launch them into space on cannons.
Yeah. All right, Reva whipping out a red lightsaber, encountering some hesitant man at the bar. Same sequence, I think, as earlier with the Grand Inquisitor encountering the barman. This might even be the same person. Or it could be a different character in the same location, but different. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like maybe someone's trying to run from the situation, and she's stopping this guy, and he knows something, right? So and then flash a title card and defeat. We get some symbols on a wall, which it looks like Reva is trying to decipher. Some engravings on
It's
some
like
wood.
the Jedi symbol.
Yeah. It looks like the Jedi Legacy's logo that's been carved into some piece of wood, and Reva's kind of putting her hand to it. And it's worth remembering, like, Reva might have previously been a Jedi, right? So maybe she has some sort of attachment or some ties to that past. And then we see her face off in an alleyway against someone with a blaster, which it looks like is Obi-Wan Kenobi, trying to hide.
Looks so Batman-y.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and this is kind of pretty cool because he's going full on Jedi vigilante, right? Like trying not to use his lightsaber, but trying to hide his Jedi identity by using a weapon for an uncivilized age. So uncivilized.
Nice plug there.
Yeah.
Good reference.
Yeah, so we're gonna have Reva versus Obi-Wan for sure, and then we cut to Obi-Wan on a rooftop firing off a blaster bolt at somebody on another rooftop. No idea who it is. You guys have any idea who that is? I don't know if you can pause it on a frame that's a little clearer, but it looks like he's.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Shots too actiony.
Yeah.
Could be some bounty hunters or something, but yeah. Who knows?
And we got some people on other rooftops. It looks like he's almost being surrounded in this. He's being fired upon from other angles. And then one of these chimneys in 126, a bunch of birds fly out. And then we cut the title card, Hope Survives. Close up on Obi-Wan in the desert, looking concerned. And then we get the final title card, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. Limited series streaming May 25th. And then we get a very cool blue lightsaber Disney Plus logo, which they should use forever.
They should.
Starting
That's
to wonder.
Kind of cool.
Starting to wonder what percentage of the series is going to be off Tatooine now, because the trailer actually was about 50-50.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of it will focus in on not just him, but his pursuers, right? Which makes for a really well balanced story, I think, which is going to be really exciting to see. We didn't get any Vader other than his breathing through the teaser trailer, but we do know he's in it, and I think it's wise to suspect his appearance is going to be very subtle, very sparingly used, and we're definitely going to get this lightsaber fight. I'm assuming that this will happen in the final episode. But let's go back to that conversation because, major concerns about it. Major concerns about it.
Yep, because the modern day Vader, they built it up so much, right? So it's going to add a weird contrast to what we see in A New Hope, as well as I feel like it lessens the impact of the duel that we get in the original film.
Yeah, it kind of does. And, not to dump on episode 4, but I mean, it wasn't exactly the greatest duel. So in a way, it's like it'll kind of give us something that we can actually look at and go, okay, that was pretty awesome. But I feel like we already had
Won't that make it even worse?
Well, yeah, and I feel like we already had that in episode 3, right? Like Revenge of the Sith kind of gave us that duel that people have been waiting to see between those two for a long time. And I feel like this go around just isn't that needed or maybe that necessary because there was some dialogue that happened between the two characters, and the exchange made it sound as if it just flowed really well out of what happened in episode 3, right? I feel like there didn't need to be anything that happens between those two events, and this show is smack dab in the middle, right? This show is smack dab in the middle, and so even when Obi-Wan gets aboard the Death Star, Darth Vader kind of takes a moment to go, I feel a presence I haven't felt since, and then he kind of trails off and doesn't say anything. And, I mean, I just always assumed that was Mustafar, but
that's what I thought too. I mean, technically, that would still make sense if they fight here, but I'm not sure what the gap is.
Yeah.
Because if it was 2 weeks ago, you know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah.
Obviously, that won't be the case, but it definitely changes the impact.
Let's take a listen to some of this audio here. Hold on. From the original duel.
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
Your powers are weak, old man.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
You should not have come back.
And then Obi-Wan sees Luke.
Ben?
He just kind of looks at Vader and smiles, and then surrenders his life. Gets sliced in half. But that's it, right? And there's not a lot of details.
We should someone should go through and tally how many times their like lightsabers make contact in episode 4 compared to the fight in episode 3. And it'd be like, dude, you'd be like watching episode 3, tapping that button like so fast, trying to keep track.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of details. I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think about this, because
Well,
it's Vader's line that is the main thing, right? It's like, when I left you, I was but the learner, and now I am the master.
right.
yeah, so he
And
I
you
feel
should
like
not
he's
have
been
come
waiting
back.
his entire like, or how many years is this? He's been
At
waiting
19. This is
since-
between episode 3 and 4 is 19 years.
So I feel like that's like he's been waiting 19 years
Yeah.
to say that to Obi-Wan's
Right.
face. So I don't know. I think it'd be kind of dumb if they do end up fighting in the
I'm okay
thing.
with like a near miss,
Yeah.
or Obi-Wan like sees Vader and then like realizes like what Anakin has become, but I don't want Vader to see Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm in the same boat, because I always love seeing Vader, and this will be the first time he's come back since Rogue One, and Hayden wasn't involved with Rogue One. They used a stunt double, and James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones was the voice, but Hayden was not in the suit, and the fact that he's in the suit is clear evidence to me that it's one of two things. Either they wanted to throw Hayden a bone and be like, welcome back to Star Wars. Here's the suit. You get to play your character again. Or it meant that we're clearly going to get some scenes where he's unmasked, close up. We see his face. Or third, I guess that's 3 options. We get flashbacks where he's just playing Anakin Skywalker again. And I think that's what a lot of people are hoping for, including myself. Flashbacks. Yeah, I think I don't necessarily. I don't think seeing a new duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin is I don't know.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea.
I mean, even just the line like a presence I've not felt since,
Mhm. ...
and then he runs off. It's like he shouldn't even be in the same vicinity or the same moon-sized displacement as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, they shouldn't be anywhere near each other.
Yeah, that's true. So, like, then how would Obi-Wan spy on Vader without Vader sensing him, right? So
yeah, and I
guess you could argue Coruscant. There's so many people and things going on. Maybe it'll get lost.
Yeah,
in,
I mean, like
chaos.
I think it'd be fine to see like a good amount of Vader in this series, because Nur is right next to Mustafar. Like Vader, especially at this point early on in the Inquisitorius or whatever, Vader is like responsible for them basically, right?
Yeah.
So lots of Vader, like, sure, that's totally fine, but just please don't.
Yeah, I know what you mean, right?
Fight.
Yeah, and
I can't help. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I can't help but think of the duel between Ahsoka and Darth Vader that was in Rebels, and I'm worried they're going to try to do something like that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if it's really called for to happen. I feel like it's just them kind of almost fanboying too much that they have the opportunity to do this, but I don't think it works, right? And I mean, we're complaining about it now. Maybe we'll be praising the show in a couple months when we actually see it unfold and it makes complete sense and everything like that. And maybe we're all wrong about this, but I've got my concerns, right? I think we all have our concerns with such a big event, right? A big face off, and something that really changes the foundation of what George had done just with 6 movies, right? Because this really is playing in the middle of those, and square in the middle, and is in a small way, is changing events and changing intentions for those lines, right? So yeah, I think we all have our
something
concerns.
that I feel like we've been seeing happen for a while now with each new
Yeah.
thing that comes out. Something's tweaked, something's tweaked, something's tweaked, right?
Yeah, totally. And
So,
as more
I have a
Disney stuff comes
question
out, the
then.
Lucas gets covered up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think my question then is, do you think this is like their first like real probe? Like if they do follow through on like a duel between Obi-Wan and Vader in this show, do you think that this is their first probe to see if they can reboot the original trilogy and redo episode 4? Do you think that they're gonna try to test the waters a little bit and see if that's possible? Because how
I don't
old
think
is
so.
how old is New Hope?
It's old. It's
77.
Over 40 years old
77.
now at this point. But no, I don't think they'll ever touch that. What I do think though is that they might be toying around with the idea of these very delicately crafted characters from the original films getting close up and impersonal with some stories with them, right? Because the only other characters we've seen, I'm not counting Book of Boba because he, essentially he was a background character for the other films, but aside from episode 2 in the Clone Wars, but
I thought you were gonna say he was a background character for Book of Boba.
Nice.
Only the latter half.
No, I'm thinking more like along the lines of the sequels, where a lot of the main trilogy characters got kind of backgrounded in there, and
Fleshed out.
and I don't know. I feel like fleshing out some characters like this in a way that comes across as a show, we get a lot more screen time, a lot more focus, and some really good detailed stories that people have been enjoying on Disney Plus more than in the cinema so far, as far as comparing all the stuff that Disney's done. And maybe Obi-Wan's going to be the tip of the iceberg. Maybe if this goes well, maybe we're going to see other shows with other characters, with focusing in on their stories, which
Darth Vader.
Yeah, or even like I mean, it's been thrown around a bit, but maybe like a Yoda show, right?
Or Kickster.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the question to get maybe a show of Kidster, Yoda, because he's a guy that he's a little alien that was very mysterious, and this thing that we saw in Dagobah, but maybe they want to tell a story.
I feel like if they do that, it'll be High Republic.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's a story to be told between episode 3 and 5 that kind of gets into something that he's been up to. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe some forced journey that he goes on or something like that. I mean, he's the more magical, spiritual character of Star Wars, right? The more unknown, I guess, how to describe.
I want to see the rise and fall of Sebulba.
There was a Jedi Quest book, young Scholastic junior reader novel, which actually did tell a story of Anakin as a young Jedi Padawan who has to go back to Tatooine on a mission with Obi-Wan, and he has to enter in on a pod race and win again, and he's against and it's against Sebulba's son. And Sebulba's son, and Sebulba's son is driving, and Sebulba's son, get this, is driving Anakin's old pod racer who they bought. So it's actually kind of cool. It was actually kind of a cool story because Anakin has to basically one up his mechanic skills and mechanically produce a better pod racer than he did before and race and win against the son of his nemesis.
That's pretty fun.
It's pretty good.
The fact that Tanner kind of jokingly is like, it's a story of Sebulba, and Josh actually has an answer to it.
I hope they just use that storyline, but it has to be titled "Son of Sebulba."
The son of Sebulba.
That's right.
Well, I mean, we're coming to the end of the time we got for today, but real quick, if you guys want to have any last minute thoughts, now's the time. Now is the time.
I'm glad it was just a teaser and not like a full length trailer, because I think nowadays especially it's so easy to like ruin like even a whole TV series and spoil too much.
Yeah.
I think Star Wars has been good about that, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Mandalorian trailers, the full trailers, and the Boba Fett trailer, I don't think they did that.
Right. Yeah, and
I don't think does Obi-Wan even say anything this whole trailer? I don't think he did.
No. We will get
No.
more trailers though. We'll get another.
I'm okay with that.
We'll get another trailer eventually. I think closer to the date, right? But until then, I mean, this is great to see. It's cool to see where they're going with this, and Phil had a lot of comments to say about the set pieces, which look great. So I think this show is going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be super cool. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good time.
It's going to be a good time.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. And all right. Well, thanks guys for coming back on the show as usual, and we'll see you in the next one.
Always a pleasure.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Keep flying.
All right. And to those of you guys listening at home, thank you as always for tuning into the show. Hope you're still enjoying our Star Wars discussions. And you can stay tuned for a lot more content coming from us. Number one being some character breakdowns called What Happened. We've been doing them in the past, focusing in on characters that show up in these live action shows and kind of recapping their story in every appearance that they've had. Comic book, novel, video game, show, movies, audiobook, whatever. We go through all of it. Chronological order, it's easy to follow. And I highly recommend that. We've only done a few, but we plan to do more. And we plan to do one for Cad Bane and, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Stopping, of course, at the point where this show begins. So, make sure you check out the previous episodes of the podcast as well. We last had on Jess from the Book of Boba Fett, the Boba Fett fan club, talking about the Book of Boba Fett. So that was pretty fun. And lots more coming down the chain. So looking forward to May 25th. That's when Obi-Wan Kenobi comes out on Disney+. You can reach us out, leave a voicemail, shoot us a tweet, email. All that stuff is in the description. And we'll see you guys in the next one. May the Force be with you.